said. He stated the Seattle Storm didn't actually apologize to the two young fans, one of them 16 years old, for the co-owner verbally abusing them. They're not actually sorry. They endorsed Kamala Harris for president, have proceeds for merch go to body multiplication or minors and allow political signs in that arena that support men and women's sports. The Seattle Storm is one of the worst, most vile organizations in sports. So this is the young lady, or should I say,
The Seattle Storm organization has been pushed into damage control mode following backlash over comments made by one of its co-owners directed at young supporters. The fans involved are teenagers, widely believed to be under 21, with some reports suggesting they may be as young as 16 or 17. Legal observers note that if these were minors, their families would have strong grounds to pursue action against the franchise for harassment and character defamation, with several possible legal angles available.
So this is the young lady, or should I say old lady, and as you guys can see, she's part of that community, and she basically told these young ladies, which I'm going to do a separate video because those young ladies did an exclusive interview, and we're going to drop the video probably in a couple hours after this one come out. Now, this is the statement that was released by the Seattle Storm. They said, we are aware one of our co-owners made comments to two fans in attendance at last night's game. We apologize.
Commentators are already predicting that any attorney taking this case could secure a substantial settlement, since organizations in this position typically move quickly to resolve such matters, rather than let them drag into court. Sports media figure John Root, writing for Outkick, has been closely covering the story and reported that the Storm's public statement fell short of a genuine apology to the two fans, one of whom was reportedly 16, after being verbally confronted by the co-owner.
We apologize that this happened. Everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome, and we remain committed to creating an inclusive environment where every fan is treated with respect. Storm majority owner Gina Glider. So that is the statement that was released, but I'm telling you right now, this ain't a good look. They got a lawsuit. I mean, they got a super duper.
Critics argue the organization's response lacked sincerity, pointing to the team's past political endorsements, its merchandise partnerships, and its allowance of political messaging inside the arena in support of both men's and women's sports causes. Detractors have gone so far as to label the Storm among the more troubling franchises in professional sports. The woman at the center of the incident is connected to that same community described above. According to sources, she directly confronted the two young fans, and a separate follow-up video featuring an exclusive interview with those fans is expected to be released within hours.
We got a super duper lawsuit beyond, break the damn internet type lawsuit. Now, the Seattle Storm did do a press conference immediately after this game. And in this press conference, they actually, their coach answered the question, unlike you know who, you dig. And we ain't going to say no names, Stephanie White. Stephanie White refused to answer the question from the reporters in regards to.
The statement issued by the Seattle Storm read as follows. The organization is aware that one of its co-owners made remarks to two fans during the previous night's game, and it extends an apology for the incident, adding that every person who enters a Storm game should feel welcome, and that the franchise remains dedicated to fostering an environment of respect for all attendees. The statement was signed by Storm majority owner Ginny Gilder. Despite the official response, observers maintain this situation reflects poorly on the organization and could still result in significant legal consequences given the severity of what allegedly occurred.
I refuse to answer the question from the reporters in regards to the LGBTQ community. And it was just an ugly look. Let's see if we can pull this press conference up and listen to it, because this is not good for any parties involved.
Okay, Percy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, is this the type of game, because they score so many points, because they were the league leaders and like
The Storm did hold a media availability immediately following the game. During that session, head coach Stephanie White fielded several basketball questions but declined to respond when asked about matters concerning the LGBTQ+ community, a moment that has drawn its own share of criticism. A portion of that press conference is detailed below.
leaders and like scoring, that you needed more offense or a little bit more defense?
I think we needed more defense.
Yeah.
I hope that scoring 95 is enough for us to win games. We needed to get stops.
Just following up on that, because I asked Natisha the same thing. She was saying you need to clean up some things defensively. Just what specifically does need work defensively? What was an issue tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started in the first quarter with transition. Cunningham getting open for threes, uncontested. She had 3 threes in the first quarter, and then that was.
A reporter asked whether the high point total from the opposing team, which led the league in scoring, indicated the need for more offensive firepower or better defense. The coach responded that better defense was the priority, noting that scoring 95 points should typically be enough to win, and that the team needed to force more stops.
Uncontested. She had 3 threes in the first quarter, and then that was it for the game. But that really hurt us, coming right out of the gate. So giving up 37 points early, it's transition, and I think that piece of it is more controllable, especially where we took care of the ball today. We were really good with that. We didn't have a lot of light ball turnovers, so we have to be able to get back and find people and take away those easy buckets in transition. The tough ones, right, again, with elite scorers, you're not going to, shut them out. They're going to score, so being able to.
A follow-up question asked what specifically needed improvement on the defensive end. The coach explained that the trouble began in the first quarter in transition, citing an opposing player who got open looks from three-point range uncontested, hitting 3 shots in that opening period alone that proved costly. The coach noted that ball security was strong throughout the game, with few live ball turnovers, but that getting back in transition and cutting off easy scoring chances remained the priority, acknowledging that elite scorers will inevitably get some buckets regardless.
Being able to take away the easy ones is really important, and that's probably where it starts.
How frustrating was that first quarter, and then how do you just turn that around and win the next 2 quarters?
Yeah, I mean, the players were, they're prideful and they were pissed at what we were doing defensively, and they did a good job, as they typically do, of turning the page, of moving on to the next play and digging deep and finding solutions and finding those in real time. We needed to find them earlier and do all of that earlier, but this group is.
Asked how difficult that opening quarter was and how the team managed to reverse momentum, the coach said the players were frustrated with the defensive execution, but showed their usual resilience in moving past mistakes and searching for solutions in real time, adding that the group's chemistry and fight to claw back into games remains a strength, even though those adjustments should have come sooner.
And people protesting the opposite way, and I'm like, I got to be real. If the Seattle Storm came out and said, we're not letting any political coverage happen, then okay, it is what it is. So this is what they've said, is it?
There's signs that said.
A reporter observed that the second quarter brought noticeably more energy in terms of interior stops and second chance scoring, asking how the team's overall response evolved after that rocky start. The coach explained that once transition scoring was better contained, the game shifted into more of a half-court battle, allowing ball pressure to increase and defenders to disrupt passing lanes before the offense could set up, alongside strong communication on switches and better use of length, speed, and quickness, all of which the coach felt marked the team playing more cohesively as a unit.
Is it?
There's signs that said we love Sophie, thank you Sophie for speaking up, and so we were holding on, just watching the game again. We were being super great. We hadn't said anything to anyone else. We were being super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this older lady comes up to us, and at first I think she's gonna be nice, and then she asks what are you guys doing, or something like that. And then it was
It's got a 1.5 times speed here.
Jesus loves everyone. That's what she told us. And I was like, oh, I know. I'm really just I know. I know. Nice. Yeah.
Trying to clarify further, a reporter asked whether defensive execution specifically was the key factor in limiting the opponent's looks. The coach confirmed that in the second quarter, defense was indeed the deciding factor, attributing it to the combination of ball pressure, early transition disruption, half-court containment, passing lane pressure, and effective defensive rotations. Asked whether increased awareness of ball location and off-ball switching played a role, the coach clarified that it wasn't necessarily new awareness, but rather the team executing at the level it's already capable of.
Jesus loves everyone. That's what she told us. And I was like, oh, I know. Like, I'm religious. Like, I know. Like, I know.
Nice.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done. And like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane.
And she's like, and she went like
yes.
insane.
Yeah.
She's like, you better stop this.
And stop pulling
shit.
this. Yeah.
And
For you
I
guys to
hope
come
God
here
can
and
save
pull
you.
this.
Yeah. She said, for you to come here and pull this shit.
Yeah.
She said the word.
Yeah.
Did she say effing insane or?
No, she said the word. Yeah.
Nobody around you spoke up for you. No.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah. I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like, it doesn't really.
That's not a good look. Like, that is really, really not a good look. Like, I'm gonna be real.
Another reporter raised the closer foul count in this matchup compared to prior games, though noted several calls still appeared questionable, specifically referencing one contact play that seemed to go unpunished. Asked whether such a play warranted a technical foul to draw officials' attention, the coach acknowledged that officiating is a difficult job, that there were some borderline calls, and that the staff communicated with officials throughout and challenged plays where it seemed worthwhile.
Like, that is really, really not a good look. Like, I'm gonna be real here. I'm gonna be very real. If you are a team and you're a league, you can absolutely, by the way, be apolitical. You can absolutely, as a team, as an owner, have whatever political stances you want. But it becomes a very touchy subject.
The coach added that a technical foul isn't a strategy the staff pursues deliberately, though one might occur naturally in the course of a game, and that the larger issue was wanting consistency in how contact was called on both ends of the floor, acknowledging that finding that consistency is genuinely difficult for officials. The coach praised the team's improved ability to move past frustration with officiating and focus on the next play. A final question referenced an anti-trans demonstration that took place outside the arena before the game, reportedly connected to a WNBA player, and asked the coach, as a member of the LGBTQ+ community, how it felt knowing this was happening just outside the building. The coach responded by emphasizing that the organization and the arena have always aimed to be a welcoming space, noting close coordination with venue security and staff to ensure everyone felt safe and included entering the building, and that from what the coach understood, those efforts were successful that night.
But it becomes a very touchy subject when, as a league, you push one huge things. You push one thing. And especially when I'm not even going to give my opinion on this topic here, because I don't think that anyone gains from hearing a random person in Ireland, a random man in Ireland's opinion on this. I don't think anyone gains from hearing my opinion. But I will say this. Worldwide, I would say
the Seattle Storm organization has issued a public apology regarding remarks made by a co-owner. Earlier reporting treated the source of the comments as unconfirmed, but it has since been verified that the owner was indeed responsible, and the franchise has now responded publicly. Regardless of that response, the incident reflects poorly on the organization as a whole, given that a co-owner reportedly directed harsh language at two 16-year-old fans along the sideline. According to accounts, the Seattle Storm's co-owner confronted two teenagers for displaying a sign expressing support for Sophie Cunningham, while apparently showing no concern toward fans displaying signage with an opposing message. Had the franchise simply stated a blanket policy against any political messaging at games, that would be one thing, but that isn't what happened.
Say 90% of people agree with what Sophie Cunningham said. 80 to 90%. If they were anonymously surveyed, 80 to 90% agree with what Sophie Cunningham said. And if we're being real, I would actually think the highest percentage demographic that agree with what Sophie Cunningham said is probably female athletes. It is probably female athletes are probably
the girls explained that their signs read messages of gratitude towards Sophie for speaking out, and that they were simply enjoying the game, cheering for both sides, and hadn't caused any disruption or interacted negatively with anyone. Then, an older woman approached them, At first, the woman seemed friendly, asking what they were doing. Then her tone shifted. She told them, "Jesus loves everyone," to which one teen responded politely. The woman then said she hoped Jesus could forgive them for their sin, before allegedly cursing at them and telling them to stop what they were doing, insisting they needed saving. The teens say the woman used explicit language while accusing them of bringing that behavior into the venue. One of the girls became emotional, later stating she had never been spoken to that way in person before. She'd dealt with online negativity, but nothing compared to being confronted face to face.
It is probably female athletes are probably the highest demographic, which is why, again, there's one player that has, in Steph Dolson, that has like actively come out and not support Sophie. The players, and again, there are definitely players that are on Sophie's side, players against Sophie that don't want to speak up about it. Not because they're scared, because it is the most irrelevant thing ever. The law has been passed. Whether you agree or not, or whatever side you are on.
That kind of behavior is simply unacceptable. Teams and leagues are entitled to remain neutral on political matters, and ownership groups are free to hold whatever personal views they choose. But tension arises when a league appears to favor one side of an issue, especially on a topic where public opinion is genuinely mixed. Though in this particular case, it's worth noting that a large majority, likely somewhere between 80 and 90% of people surveyed anonymously worldwide, would likely agree with Sophie Cunningham's stance. Female athletes, in particular, are probably the demographic most aligned with her position, which explains why only a small number of players, such as one from Indiana, has publicly distanced herself from Cunningham's comments. Some players support her, some oppose her, and many stay silent simply because the topic itself has become largely irrelevant at this point. The relevant ruling has already been made by the Olympic Committee and isn't getting reversed, regardless of which side anyone takes. Continuing to fight over settled matters serves no purpose. Now, with an owner allegedly involved, the situation looks even worse, assuming the account, sourced from Brandy Cruz and others present, is accurate. If an owner is cursing at fans and telling them they need God's forgiveness, that crosses every reasonable boundary, no matter what the fans were demonstrating for. That kind of conduct from ownership is simply not acceptable under any circumstance.
Being passed. Whether you agree or not, or whatever side you were on in this, is pointless. It's not going to get unpassed. The Olympic Committee decided on it. It's not going to get undone. It's not going to get undone. Like, I think at this stage, like, overcommitting one way or another for something that is irrelevant is the most pointless thing ever. And, like, you've got now the owner. This is a really, really bad look. When, again, this could be false. I am reporting information by Brandy Cruz here, and the people there, I'm reporting what they are saying.
The teens noted that the confrontation caught them off guard, since the woman initially seemed kind before turning hostile and using profanity toward them. Afterward, they assumed the situation was over, until someone mentioned the woman's connection to the team. Another woman reportedly told them they were allowed to have opinions, but needed to avoid being political, though the teens maintained they weren't trying to make a political statement, only support Cunningham and enjoy the game like everyone else. They said they hadn't interacted negatively with anyone beforehand and were caught off guard when informed of who had confronted them. Their first guess was that it might have been a team representative, but they were stunned to learn it was actually team ownership. They pointed out the added disappointment of the incident involving another woman cursing out two teenage girls who were simply having fun and showing support, not trying to stir controversy. It's also worth noting that the teens were the only ones targeted this way, even though people nearby held signs supporting the opposing view, creating an appearance of double standards. And regardless of whether either side's actions were political, cursing out fans crosses a clear line no matter the circumstances. Asked whether they felt welcome despite no hate signage around the venue, the girls said they felt uneasy throughout the event. Separately, reports have emerged that another fan was spat on during the same game. And additional claims, again attributed to Brandy Cruz, suggest that fans wearing certain symbols were tripped or otherwise mistreated, essentially amounting to fans of the opposing team, the Indiana Fever, being assaulted at the arena. This isn't a reflection on the entire Seattle fanbase, which numbers in the tens of thousands, nor is it meant to label Seattle as unsafe as a city or organization. Still, considering the broader media narrative, including exaggerated comparisons, such as one commentator likening a small group of protesters outside the arena to a significant historical event, it's clear that this kind of rhetoric can foster real hostility, potentially emboldening people to curse at bystanders or physically confront fans. The bigger question is what any of this actually accomplishes. Nothing productive comes from escalating tension this way.